As Rei greets Youko, the woman looks at Masaki and tells Rei that she brought undesirable company. Masaki asks Rei who the hell she is, and then asks Youko if she knows who Masaki is. What's up everybody, Jeff here, bringing you more of the Malifaux lore guide. This week, we're talking about Youko of the Ten Thunders. So spoilers coming up for all of Yuko's stories, and there'll be a list in the description below so you can check the stories out for yourself. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like what I'm doing here. Join us in the Discord if you want to come hang out, and you can check out the Patreon, where for $2 a month, you can get ad-free versions of the videos, as well as support the channel. So that's pretty cool. And now let's get into Youko. The Katanaka family is very slow to trust. Since coming to Malifaux, they've been expanding their organization to outsiders, but all the most important positions are still held by members of the Katanaka family, all save for one. On the outside, Youko looks like nothing more than a beautiful woman. She managed a few tea houses before working her way up to the Ki Gong, the most famous and infamous tea house in the Little Kingdom. Youko is an expert at walking the line between unremarkable and impressive, a skill which serves her particularly well in her role running a widespread spy network. Thousands of reports find their way to the Ki Gong every day. Overheard mutterings from guild agents, soulstone mining reports from the Union, or accounts from mages who peer through the eyes of pigeons. Yuko's become very good at interpreting all this information, and the Katanakas trust her, in spite of the fact that she's gathered enough information to blackmail many of their lieutenants. Yuko suspects she'll never have to play this card, but she believes in always being prepared. The woman has successfully erased all evidence of her past, save for one thing, her daughter Chiyo. But any individual who inquires about Chiyo's parents has mysteriously disappeared. Minako Rei brings Masaki to the Ki Gong to meet one of her contacts. As they walk inside, they hear a warm voice telling them that she's been wondering when Rei would come to collect. As Rei greets Youko, the woman looks at Masaki and tells Rei that she brought undesirable company. Masaki asks Rei who the hell she is, and then asks Youko if she knows who Masaki is. Rei introduces them with a smile and says that it's about time they meet. Masaki says that she's been searching for her for a long time and asks Rei why she didn't tell her where to find the woman. Youko says that no one knows her unless she wants them to. She adds that her business requires that people all over Malifaux feel comfortable here, and she owes no allegiances and wants it to stay that way. Masaki remarks that she's a ghost, and her best agents weren't able to find her, to which Youko responds that she hides in plain sight, something that Masaki wouldn't understand. Masaki says that her shows of force teach the onlookers not to cross the Ten Thunders, and Youko counters that sometimes it's better to remain invisible. Masaki asks her what magic she uses to stay concealed, and Youko says she doesn't use magic, but takes advantage of mental biases and heuristics to hide in plain sight. Masaki is confused, and Youko says that she'll demonstrate. She tells Masaki about her friend, who is meek, has good handwriting, and is good at math. She then asks the woman if her friend is more likely to be a farmer or a bookkeeper. Masaki says a bookkeeper, and Youko tells her that she's wrong, as she was asking about probability, not the job he was more suited for. There are 1,000 farmers in the world for every one bookkeeper. Masaki tells her that she still doesn't understand, so Youko explains that she looks and acts like the other girls during the workday, and nobody ever knows she's in charge. They assume that because she's docile, that she's just a server. Masaki asks her to continue, unable to hide the fact that she's amused. Youko then gives her a word puzzle. All lotuses are flowers. Some flowers fade quickly, and therefore some lotuses fade quickly. Masaki thinks for a moment, and then says that she agrees. Youko snickers and says that the statement is false. She refers Masaki to the second line, some flowers fade quickly, and asks the woman why she thought that the lotuses were part of that group. Masaki considers it for a minute and then realizes her mistake. Youko explains that humans have a predilection for confirming something rather than questioning it. She then asks if the Oyabun wants one more example. Masaki agrees, and Youko claps, and says that she will give a series of numbers with a relationship to each other. And Masaki is to give her back another series of numbers with the same relationship, and Youko will confirm if they match the rule. Masaki quickly decides that the numbers Youko gave her are consecutive squares, and after 3 guesses, she announces the rule to Youko. The woman tells her that she's wrong. Masaki is about to insist that they are all consecutive squares, but Youko tells her that the relationship is simply that each number is bigger than the one that came before it. Masaki overcomplicated the problem and used all of her guesses to confirm her own suspicion rather than trying to prove it wrong. She says that this is why people are easy to exploit, because they are predictable and never learn to adapt. Masaki tells her this is all well and good, but that it won't save her in a fight. The geisha says that the human mind also has a limited attention span, and things go unnoticed in plain sight. She motions behind Masaki, and when the Oyabun turns around, she finds that there's a woman holding a blade to Rei's throat. Yuko says that she's been so focused on her for the last few minutes that she didn't even notice the woman, nor did she notice when Yuko clapped to signal to her people. She then says that they have proven their point, and after the woman disappears, Yuko asks why the two of them are here. Rei says that it should be obvious considering their demonstration, and adds that they think there's a traitor in their ranks. Yuko feigns surprise, and says that she can't believe that there would be subterfuge in a crime syndicate. Masaki tells her that this is serious, and that they are sure that Yuko has heard something. Rei explains that when she saved the establishment from Manos' disciples, Yuko said that she would pay her debt. After all, they aren't asking for her to compromise her secrecy. She says it's not her secrecy she worries about, but her integrity. And the women point out that she was just about to murder someone. Yuko counters that this situation is different, as it affects more than just the 10 Thunders. She sighs and pauses to think, and then tells Masaki that there's a gathering going on in the mountains above Promise in 3 days, and that she thinks she should be there. Rei looks confused, but Masaki asks what they will find at the 10 Thunders breach facility. Yuko tells her that it's not what, but who, and explains that her debt is repaid, and escorts them out of the building. Masaki goes on to confront Mei Fang, who is planning to go back Earthside with the Foundry's assets to help fight the war in the Three Kingdoms. Masaki and Mei Fang fight, and though the Oyabun gets the better of her, she decides to spare Mei Fang, and forces her to pledge her loyalty, and in exchange, Masaki promises to send resources to the Three Kingdoms. When Masaki returns to the Qiangong, she finds that Yuko is dressed like the other servers, and when the woman notices her, she beckons her into a small room. They sit at a table with refreshments, and Yuko greets her with a smile, and tells her that she heard her trip to Promise was eventful. Masaki explains that she didn't want to spare Mei Fang, but that she's at peace with the decision. Yuko tells her that she should be, and that a strong woman lives on to inspire her people and fight for her homeland. She adds that she thinks success is about suppressing our baser instincts, and that she's glad that Masaki was able to do so in sparing Mei Fang. Masaki says that things will be different now. Her father is gone, and she wants it to stay that way. Yuko agrees and calls her father a rat bastard, and then asks Masaki why she thinks she gave her the information about the Foundry. Masaki tells her that that's what she came to ask her, and asks if she's playing one of her games. Yuko says that she's learned, as she seems to have checked her presumptions at the door, but says that she's still partially wrong, as it was Yuko who was the player this time. She explains that it is just like her other games. People are determined to confirm their own preconceived beliefs, but not her. She told Masaki about Promise, not to see if she would kill her friend, but to test whether she wouldn't. Masaki asks whether she was really willing to risk an entire rebellion on a woman she didn't even know and has a violent reputation, and Yuko says that her reputation isn't proof of anything, and she believes her to be different from her father. In addition, Rei speaks highly of her, and she owed the woman a favor. Masaki asks why she was testing her in the first place, and Yuko says that she thinks she already knows. As with Masaki's father gone, it might be time for her to come out of the shadows. Masaki says that she must already know her other purpose for coming, and Yuko quickly cuts her off, and insists that she can't join the 10 Thunders. The Oyabun tells her that she had to ask, and Yuko replies explaining that she knows what happens to people who refuse to join up. Masaki replies that she's learned a lot since those times. Yuko tells the woman that she's certainly not her father, but that her people have done terrible things. Masaki says that there's nothing to say that she won't do them again in the future, but that she's no more a butcher for carrying her Basento than Yuko is for carrying the katana that's hidden in her parasol. Plus, she will compensate the woman well. Yuko asks her what she would be doing if she joined up anyway, and Masaki replies, "Teach me." The woman finally agrees, but says that she needs time to come to terms with her decision, and adds that Masaki has a lot to learn about her people. When she asks what she means, Yuko says that Mei Fang might not have betrayed her if she spent more time at Promise and with the Foundry, and that she thinks her gambler friend has no more cards up his sleeve. She stands up to leave, picking up the basket of refreshments, and tells Masaki that there'll be more waiting for her when she gets back. People always call Yuko a ghost, and she was, until she allowed the Oyabun to learn the truth. She is whatever people expect her to be, but no one sees her for what she truly is, not even the Oyabun. Words alone can't always win a fight, and when Yuko's words fail her, she uses unpredictability. By exploiting her target's ignorance and using clever distractions, Yuko is able to approach, and her victims never see her coming. There's more to Yuko's persona beneath her flowing kimonos and paper fans, and despite agreeing to mentor Masaki, she owes allegiance to no one. One of the women is a killer, and one of them is a spy. But even Masaki cannot alter her perspective enough to see that Yuko is both. And that's it for Yuko. Not a ton of lore there yet, because she's a pretty new character, but I think what they're doing with her is pretty interesting. Up to this point, Masaki's always kind of been the most powerful member of the 10 Thunders, even though she's had her own story arc, where she sort of grew into that position. But it's interesting to see some of her weakness, and how Yuko's strengths really complement hers. I also think it's really cool how that whole story is about two women helping each other to solve their problems, and it's handled in a believable and not really pandery way. I've definitely heard some folks say that Youko kind of plays into a lot of stereotypes because she's sort of a sexy Japanese spy lady. But I think a lot of that stuff is not really played up as much as it might seem in the narrative. And to me, she plays more the role of the wise mentor, which I think is a really cool dynamic. And I really enjoy that story. But I'm curious what you think, so drop a comment below and tell me what you think about the character. While you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe. Come join us on the Discord where we talk about stuff like this all the time. And consider supporting the Patreon. Speaking of which, huge shout out to the Extremely Cool Kids tier on Patreon, the Steam Powered Scoundrels, and Dogmatize. They help support the channel and keep these videos coming to you, so they are awesome. And thanks for watching.